Hello, dear ones. It is such a great pleasure to be able to connect with you again after such a long time, even if I have to use someone else's voice to do it. You all know me, just as I know all of you, but you don't remember me. Some of you had an experience or two during which you felt what you thought was me, but that was just a tiny little bit of my energy and my love, since more you wouldn't be able to handle. Those of you who had an experience like that are the lucky ones, because you don't need proof to believe in my existence. You just know it. It is all the others who seek me and have not felt me ever that I am here for. Those who tried to make some sense out of me through books, through religions, through preaching of priests, and talking of people who read all about me in books, but have never felt me either. How can they ever know the truth? They are just guessing, and their guesses are based on what they already know about the world, not on all the things that they cannot imagine. Which means that despite all the religious education they might have had, their guess is as good as yours. But I'm not here to have religious conversations with you. I'm not interested in convincing you about anything. And if it is preaching you need, turn on your TV and you'll probably find someone to satisfy you. What I'm here for is to offer you a chance to get to know me a little better. Not as a person, because I'm not a person. Just like you listening to that channeling, you are not a person either. You are energy, pure energy, conscious energy, with thoughts and emotions and ideas, and an amazing potential to do good and create paradise, or do bad and create a living hell. Just like me. This is not God talking to man. It is simply an exchange of information between one conscious energy and another, hoping that this will one day bring us closer. It is also an answer to your requests, multiple requests, requests for help, for guidance, for ways to go higher, faster in your evolution. And other requests, requests for healing, for revelations, for someone or something to show you what you're doing wrong, and you end up repeating the same boring and painful patterns and always end up with your heart broken, feeling abandoned, feeling like the world couldn't care less if you exist or not. Does all this sound familiar? And I'm not just talking about emotional healing. People tend to remember me when they get really sick, even if they haven't talked to me for a very long time. I don't care. There is no subscription that you have to pay for every month in order to have me there when you need me. I'm always there. And your actions cannot change my love for you either. The only thing they can do is clear the way between you and me, so that you can feel my love more. You are the obstacle in this flow of energy, not me. And since you ask for healing, I have to tell you that it is not the viruses and the microbes that make you sick. It is your thoughts and your reactions to a world that is becoming more and more toxic. But that is not the subject of today's channeling. Today we are going to talk about change. Ouch, painful subject. You all ask for it, but when it comes knocking on your door, you freak out. Inside of you, you beg for things to stay the same. You want things to get better, but only for as long as you don't have to give anything up. Your soul screams for evolution, and you hear its call. But when the time comes for the move that will liberate it from its prison, you shrink back to your predictable choices. Back to your little corner, back behind the bars, because you're so afraid of being someone different from who you usually are, that you never become who you really are, energy without limits. You remain a person. Well, I'm here to tell you that you won't be able to do that for much longer, not without consequences. The world is changing. You feel it every day. It is changing faster than it used to and in unpredictable ways. You don't understand it. There are times when your lives are stagnant and things move so slow that you are ready to scream out of boredom, when nothing seems to be happening. And then you wake up one morning and the universe is dancing outside your window, closing doors all around you that used to be open, doors you counted on for your survival. And what do you do then? What do you do when not just one thing, but everything seems to be caught in a twister and your whole life is up in the air? You celebrate, throw a party. You probably think I'm crazy right now. Or even worse, you think I'm messing with you, making fun of you. Or, as a Greek expression says, since Greece is the country where this message is channeled, you'll think I'm playing with your pain. You're wrong. I'm serious. As I said before, the world is changing. It cannot stay the same anymore, thanks to you. You see, there may be so few of you who fight for it to change in comparison with the biggest part of the population of the planet who either wants to stick to the old ways or is simply too busy fighting for survival as we speak. But you are enough. You have reached the critical mass and surpassed it, and your time has finally come. Not for prevailing or for winning, because this is not about winning. Just like the others have no right to make your choices and determine your life, you have no right to make their choices and determine their lives either. This has always been a planet of free will, and thus it will remain. But since the others have had it their way for such a long time, thousands of years, when darkness had the upper hand, now it is your turn. Not to win, because as I said before, this is not about winning, but to create a different version, your version. And this is why I'm here. The universe is reacting to your shift of consciousness, and the reaction is coming from everywhere. Help is coming from everywhere. We are not allowed to intervene, and by saying we, I mean all consciousness which vibrates in frequencies higher than your own. We cannot kill the ones who oppress you, because for as long as there is something in you that attracts them, they will simply be replaced by someone else. But what we can do is shed our light upon you so that you can see, and that is not a small thing. If you are locked in a room with all the lights out, the door shut, and a whole lot of furniture between you and the door, we are not allowed to move the furniture. We are not allowed to touch anything. And it is painful for us, just as it is painful for you every time you try to stand up in your little corner, and after you take a step, you trip over a chair and fall on a knife that is sticking out from a table. After a while, you decide that standing up is dangerous, and you learn to create your world around that little corner. and I know your pain because I feel it too. But what if someone who had a torch stood outside the window and pointed the torch towards the chair, the knife, and the table? Wouldn't that make a difference? What if this ray of light made the limits of your world bigger and bigger until you started seeing the furniture and you were able to avoid them? Wouldn't you stand up then? And if you did stand up and found your way to the door unharmed, if that ray of light from the torch showed you the key hanging from the wall, wouldn't you use it to get out? Well, this is what we do. We cannot do the work for you, but we can shed light. If you use it, your world will be different. And at this point I have to clarify that when I say I'm not allowed to intervene, it's not because I can't. It's because you wanted it that way when you chose to play this game, to participate in this experiment. But this too is a topic for another channeling. What does all this have to do with change? I will tell you. In the past, help was always given to your world in small portions. One small ray of light was not enough to illuminate the whole building, but it was there for whomever stood in that little corner to see. But it took a long time. People react to change very slowly because centuries, or rather millennia, of tripping over the furniture and falling on knives could not be undone in a single stroke. Memories of pain came rushing by every time you tried to get up and pushed you back on the floor. And it took a lot of courage to fight back, and you didn't have it. And that small ray of light came back every time you asked for help. But it didn't make any sense, because instead of pointing at the door, it kept pointing at the chair right in front of you, and you didn't want to see the chair. You wanted the door. You wanted salvation. It took centuries for you to figure out that no one else was going to do the work for you. Only then did you finally get up and started walking in half darkness. But you did it anyway. And now you are closer to the door than ever. And not just that, but you can hear all the others in the building bumping into furniture just like you, and you shout, and they can hear your voice, and they shout back at you. And now, my beloved ones, you are so many of you are walking around and standing close to the door that a torch is no longer enough. Now that there are so many of you awake, there are also many of us outside each and every window. And we are no longer holding torches. We are holding spotlights. This is why your world is upside down. There is so much light flowing in your life that you cannot hold on to your old ways. Not because you're not allowed to, but because you don't need them anymore. Every time you are close to a door, 5, 6, 7 different spotlights are pointing to the key, and the key is always the same. Let go. Let go of whatever it is that seems to be slipping through your fingers. Your work, your husband or wife, your stupid mentality of always wanting to control everything. Because when you try to control everything, then this need controls you. Let go. Whatever it is that is leaving you, either a person or a situation that offered you safety, it is only leaving because you have outgrown it. Why are you trying to squeeze your feet into your old shoes when the shoes are now 2 sizes smaller? This is why I told you to celebrate. Your life seems to be a mess? Celebrate. Energy moves in different ways now. Before, it was coming in a slow, steady stream, a constant flow of small quantities. Now it comes in waves, not small ones that caress the shore, but big ones that overturn your plastic chair and whirl you up in the sky like foam. Don't worry, you will not fall. They will catch you. We will catch you. We are waiting outside the door to share with you something bigger, greater, and more spectacular than you've ever experienced. But this can only happen if you let go. It doesn't matter if you're afraid. It doesn't matter if you don't believe either. All that matters is that you trust the wave and let it do its work without throwing your old rusty anchors that can only weigh you down when it is time to go up. Whenever a tsunami hits you on the face, know that you have earned it. Not as punishment, but as liberation. Let the universe take you out of the building. It is time for you to see the real sun, and the torches are nothing compared to it. What looks like trouble is only light showing you the way. Trust it, dive in it, and open your eyes. There is nothing dangerous in the dark, only what you do not see clearly and casts a scary shadow on the wall. Thank the darkness, for it has made you wiser. The time has come that you don't need it anymore. Thank it, turn your back to it, and open the door. You will not be alone. You never have been, and you never will be.